This is where most people use AI wrong. They open an image generated, type a random prompt, get a cool looking image, and they think they have a visual direction. But one good image is not the entire visual direction. A visual direction is a system. It tells you what product should feel like, what kind of imagery it belongs to, what style it should repeat, and what should avoid. In this episode, we will use Adobe Firefly to build that direction properly. In episode 1, we defined the product personality brief for FlowPilot. We know the product tone, audience, visual direction, brand direction, and content direction. Now we'll take that brief into Adobe Firefly and use it to explore mood, art direction, and supporting imagery. The goal of this episode is to not generate the final assets yet. The goal is to explore the visual world of the product. Before we get into this video, thanks to Adobe for sponsoring this video. In this series, I am showing how designers and startups can use Adobe Firefly and Adobe Express to generate launch-ready visual content. The goal of this episode is not to generate random images, but to build a direction that feels intentional and useful for the real product communication. Now let's take our product personality brief and start building the visual direction in Adobe Firefly. So what is visual direction? Visual direction is a creative foundation for product communication. It answers questions like, should this product be calm or energetic? Or should this visuals feel flat or dimensional or three-dimensional? Or should the images be abstract or realistic? And should the backgrounds be clean or expressive? Or should the product itself feel premium, friendly, technical, or bold? So for FlowPilot, we already have the direction. It should feel clear, confident, modern, focused, and slightly energetic. Now our job is to use Firefly and convert these words into visuals. When you open Firefly and you should go to generate, do not start with a random prompt, start with the product brief we already have. So here is the product brief we already have. Now we should turn this into a prompt. So the first prompt, we are creating an hero visual, the hero section of the website visual. We are not trying to create final visual yet, but we are only exploring the mood of the imagery. So the prompt can be create a modern SaaS visual direction for an AI launch planning workspace called FlowPilot. The mood should feel clear, confident, focused, and slightly energetic. This was extracted from the product brief. And use abstract workflow paths of gradients, clean composition, subtle depth, and a premium startup productivity aesthetic, no text, no logo. So this entire prompt is created from the product brief. So when you see, we mentioned the product category, right? We mentioned the product category. We defined the emotional tone, how it should feel like. We mentioned the emotional tone, how it should feel like. And we described the visual elements. We described the style, startup productivity aesthetics, and we have also given the negative prompt. There should be no text and no logos. So let's generate this using, let's say, GPT-2 image 2, and let's generate that. Now, when you see the output, you shouldn't ask a question like, does this image look cool or something like that? That is a wrong question. So instead, you need to ask, does this match the product tone? Does it feel useful for a startup product? Can it extend into carousels, posters, and launch assets I'm going to create? Does this support the UI I already have without overpowering it? So for FlowPilot, I would avoid visuals that feel too science fiction or too chaotic. The product should feel modern but still clear. At this stage, I like to create three possible routes. The first one is minimal SaaS. That should be clean, calm, and simple. The second one is energetic launch. That should be mode, motion, gradient energy, dynamic shapes. And the third one is premium AI workspace, which is polished, credible, and future facing. So for FlowPilot, I will combine the route 2 and route 3, which is energetic launch and feeling trustworthy with a premium AI workspace. Now we have a direction, which is energetic launch and premium AI workspace. We can now explore the supporting images. Supporting images means visuals that can sit behind the product screens, appear in carousels, or supporting feature announcements. So let's create a supporting imagery with a prompt. So we will be typing create supporting visual imagery for a more modern AI launch uh, planning SaaS product. Use abstract task flows, use abstract task flows, connected cards, soft gradient rails, clean geometric shapes, and subtle depth. The image should feel organized, focused, premium, and startup ready. Keep enough negative space for UI screens and text. No text and no logo, right? And let's select the model, aspect ratio, and the quality of the image. So now this prompt is more practical. We are not asking for a standalone artwork. We are asking for something that can support design layouts. So that is the important difference in this prompt. So let's generate this. A common mistake with AI visuals is choosing a more detailed image. So people choose more detailed image instead of most compatible image for the product. But the detailed ones is not always mean it is useful. For the product communication, useful visuals usually need clear negative space, simple composition, controlled contrast, room for UI screens, room for headlines, consistent mood, no random objects, no distracting details. So when you choose your Firefly outputs, do not look for beauty, look for usability. So now this as clear negative space, there is simple composition and room for UI screens, room for headlines, consistent mood, and no random objects and no distracting detail. Now we add the output for the supporting visual imagery. Now we will create background and texture options. So for background and texture options, these are the not hero images. These are supporting assets that help the product feel branded. So I'm typing a prompt called create a subtle abstract background texture for modern SaaS launching planning product. Use soft gradients, faint grid patterns, minimal geometric flow lines, and clean premium digital product aesthetic. The background should feel calm, spacious, and suitable behind UI screens. No text, no objects, no logos. So let's click on generate. So this kind of asset is extremely useful. You can use it behind a UI screen. You can crop it for a carousel slide. You can use it in posters. You can use it in subtle section background. And this is how the visual system becomes reusable for any product, right? So let's wait it to generate the image. Now here is the background image that we can use for the rest of our project. Now this will be the foundation for the background images we are going to create. So now we have all three. For the flow pilot, the final direction will be modern AI productivity, soft gradient energy, abstract workflow paths, clean spacious layouts, premium startup feel, subtle depth and motion. And this gives us creative direction for the next episode. We now know what our assets should look like. We know what our background should look like. We know what our supporting visuals should look like. So, and we know what should avoid also. So now your assignment is simple. Take your product personality brief you created in episode 1 and create a visual direction board in Adobe Firefly. Generate at least the 3 move directions we generated in this video. Then choose the final direction and write down what should be repeated, what should be avoided, and what mood the product create. In the next episode, we will use this direction to generate the actual asset library of the product. So do subscribe and see you in the next one.